Hello, I'm Jared.
And I'm Ebony, and this is his
And hers,
Warhammer 40K.
Yay!
Yay!
Today we will be reviewing Archmagos by Guy Haley, the third in the Belisarius Cawl series.
Belisarius Cawl is my favorite character.
Guy Haley has done a tremendous amount of work making Cawl into a character. When he was first introduced in 8th edition, he was really just a MacGuffin, or just a Deus Ex Machina. He existed there to push things along that otherwise couldn't happen.
I would argue he is still a MacGuffin, but that doesn't make him not my favorite character. I would argue he's like the, Tony Stark or Doctor Who of the Warhammer universe.
You think so?
Yeah, because he will invent a thing that is a new paradigm, right? No Belisarius Cawl, no Primaris Marines. But I also appreciate that he's a fully realized character with a personality that I personally like. But yeah, I definitely love it. I could read only about Belisarius Cawl forever.
Yeah, he's pretty fun. And I do think just him sort of interacting with others is just a wild, situation that we're dealing with. He's very enjoyable to read about. And the short version, I would say, is this book is just more of that.
Pretty much.
It's just who will Cawl deal with next?
Yeah. There's a story here, but when I think back on reading the book, what I think about are the things that pop out in my memory are small interactions between Belisarius Cawl and other characters that may or may not be at all related to the overarching plot of the novel. Yes, there is a plot here and we're going to talk about it, but my favorite things about this book are just watching competency porn of Belisarius Cawl.
Ab does love competency porn.
Yeah, I do.
It's great for her. Which I feel outside of Space Marines you don't get to see a lot of in 40K, or it's not as prominent. There isn't as much spotlight on it.
Yeah, except maybe from the occasional Primarch.
That's the same.
Yeah,
I would say.
Right. Yeah, it's not you're not getting on the ground, boots on the ground, baseline humans being great at their jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our main point of view character for this book is Solana of Mars, who was one of the original 4 historitors, I believe, that were introduced way back in Dark Imperium, Dawn of Fire, one of those. It's the whole, at this point, Guy Haley just kind of runs modern 40K timeline.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's others behind the scenes that are dealing with the Codex side and the campaign side. At the time of this release, the Armageddon campaign is going on, and the release of 11th edition. But this section of 40K history, the early era Indomitus, Haley has just kind of been running the whole thing, it feels like. He is putting in all the linchpins. A few authors kind of branch off from that, but all forward momentum that's not in a codex or a campaign book has come from a Haley novel.
I like Solana as a character too, because she's the stand-in Ebony watching Belisarius Cawl do cool stuff, but also she's a little bit of a weird member of the Mechanicum in that she's not Mechanicus.
Important distinction, especially in this book.
She's not all fully mechanical. And she has I love her assistant Aramennitas. She's got a servitor assistant who's
Aramenitus.
Who's very, very conservative. And he thinks that she's terrible and is always trying to make her do a better job serving the machine god, but so she straddles that line. And so I appreciate when she thinks Belisarius is doing something transformative, but she also appreciates that the rest of the machine cult will think that he's a heretic. I feel I like that a lot. I like getting to see him through her eyes.
So the plot we're dealing with this book is a continuation of one from the Great Works, where now that Cawl has gotten the technology, or at least the basis of the technology, to try and close
the Attilan gap.
Well, to close warp storms really is the underlying technology. The Attilan gate, which was discovered in Sea of Souls, I believe.
Yeah.
No, not Sea of Souls. Void King.
One of those.
One of those. Closing or keeping that open would allow for easier passage along the Great Rift without needing the Nakhmud Gauntlet, which is currently 100% chaos controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he has found is he needs some Necron technology that is only accessible from one particular world, and that world is currently time-locked next to a black hole.
Which is wild.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
So he has pulled in the assistance of 2 other Forge worlds. I want to say Tigris and another that
Yes.
I can't remember.
I don't remember them, but one of them is definitely Tigris, and the 2 Archmagi from both of them, like, they don't really get along, but they're getting along to do this thing with Belisarius Cawl, and it's a cute little bit of scene. You don't get a lot of them, but yeah.
They basically create a tunnel down through stasis time, along with the assistance of
Asinethiu. I don't know how you say that.
She's a Necron Cryptek Chronomancer.
Yes.
One of the Necron time experts. That at the end of Gene Father is now basically just a head.
In a jar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she used to be like in stasis in Call's something. And something happened in one of the earlier books where she ends up being a head in a jar.
Well, she tries to escape.
Yes. She's always trying to escape. I don't know. She's
like Fabius Bile.
Yes.
Released her, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. She's a great character too because she hates Belisarius Cawl and she's always trying to escape. She's always talking about how humans suck. But I just imagine him like carrying her like a purse. Like he's just got a head in his purse and she's like, "You're terrible. I'll help you do this thing." Yeah.
So there's some pretty fun, like classic adventure story type shenanigans that go on in order for them to travel on this time-locked planet. Some great scenes. I especially liked one where they're going down like an elevator shaft almost, but little Necron scarabs that they're killing keep falling through time and basically getting time locked at the edge of their bubble that is causing strain on the bubble.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat.
It's hard to visualize, I felt, as a reader, but it was a cool story.
Yeah.
Right? Like visualizing it in my mind was hard.
Yep.
For obvious physics reasons. But I thought it was very interesting. There's also like the thing that they're breaking into. Other Necrons have been trying to solve some of these problems, and so there are other Necrons in there that are time locked and or fighting off things that they end up having to work with while they're on this planet.
The whole planet is still in the middle of a War in Heaven battle between the Necrons and the Eldar, like pre-fall Eldar.
Yeah.
So that was a neat detail that they mentioned, like these Eldar don't have soul stones because they don't need them yet. So while that is going on, we've got 2 other stories going on that one I like on its own and I enjoy it. I don't think it needed to be on this book.
Okay.
The other one I just find kind of boring, but I get why it's here and is kind of where this story is leading to.
I don't know which ones you mean.
So the first one, I kind of reversed them in my head. The first one is a story involving Vashtor and the Iron Warriors.
Okay.
The second one is on Ulfheim, which is the homeworld of the Wolf Spears, that Felix, one of the new Ultramarine Tetrarchs, is coming to visit and sort of watch over where Cal is going to be using his new Necron-acquired technology.
Yes. To stop the Pit of Raukos?
Yes. So the Pit of Raukos is a currently existing warp storm that we have seen before in Dark Imperium. And in fact, the cleansing of Ulfheim and the surrounding planets was the end of the first phase of the era of the Indomitus Crusade.
Which is that it's the triumph at Raukos that I'm thinking of, right? There's a triumphal ground built in front of Ulfheim.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We saw that being built in Dark Imperium.
Yes, okay. All right, which of these stories is the one you like and which of them is the one you think you don't need?
Oh, that's the same, unfortunately.
Oh, one you don't like that we don't need and the other one that is fine? That's what you decided?
It's important for the story, but I
Okay.
don't care for it.
Okay.
So the story involving Felix and the wolf spears. Okay. So Felix also played a role in
Mhm.
the Great Work,
Mhm.
but I feel his role was important there because he was, still dealing with kind of trauma of being, quote, raised by Cawl,
Mhm.
alongside the Sights of the Emperor. Here, he's kind of just on his own, like helping out the wolf spears to fight off the nightly demons and to sort of rekindle his relationship um, with
Bjarni?
with Bjarni. It's just not that interesting.
So I think it would be an interesting story on its own, right? Like protecting Raukos at the nightly incursions of chaos, which we have seen before. So I guess maybe
That
not.
was a short story
Yes.
in the Successors anthology,
Okay.
which we did read.
Yeah. What I think that it brings to this story, and I'm making this up, I don't know if this is true, it's that from Solana we get a lot of Belisarius Cawl might be a heretic, but he's amazing and he's going to save the world.
Mm.
And Felix has this like father son, like they have a daddy issue problem. He hates Belisarius Cawl, kind of, and he thinks he might be a terrible person. And I think just towards the end of this book, you know, Belisarius Cawl is going to deliver, and he has to have this conversation with Felix, and there might be just a little bit of a shift in how Felix perceives him, which I think it just is full arc on Belisarius's character more than it is useful to the forward motion of this story.
I see what you're saying, but I find that exact same relationship dynamic more interesting told through the eyes of Alpha Primus.
Agreed. I like it when it's Alpha Primus. He doesn't do anything really in this book.
Yeah, he's more
He's
just
there.
He's there as muscle,
Okay.
like very much so.
And it also works. Sometimes we get it from Friedish, from Quo.
From Quo, yeah. So we're dealing with Quo 89 here.
Yeah.
87 is on Ball.
Uh-huh.
88 is in the I forgot what it's called. The Pariah Nexus, possibly.
Okay.
I think at this point, Haley might have just gotten mixed up on which Quo was where and the timings.
Sure.
Because things get a little messy if you actually try and line things up on a year by year basis.
Yeah, so I guess we have a bunch of characters that can give us their perspective of Cawl, and maybe we don't need Felix for this one. But I like to think we're building something in Felix because obviously Gilliman has a special interest in Felix. He made him Tetrarch.
I suppose. Yeah, that is true.
And then the other story is the one that you did like.
Yes. So we cut to the Disciples of Null, who we did see previously. I believe Fabius Bile sold a Chaos Android body to the Disciples of Null. We see now where that is being used. They are teaming up with a warband of the Iron Warriors led by Kreverick.
Yes.
In order to summon Vashtor for assistance.
Yeah.
There's a couple of neat things going on here. I believe we have seen the Disciples of Null before. First of all, they are the modern worshippers of Sota Null, who was, I wouldn't say a major character during the Siege of Terra and the later Horus Heresy, but, existed and did a few things.
Yes.
Vashtor kind of makes fun of them because he knows, like, Sota Null is a footnote historically.
Yeah.
Kreverick, I thought, was a decent enough Iron Warrior character. He fits some stereotypes.
Yeah.
He's on the smarter side. He reminds me a lot of, who was that lead world eater in Angron? I can't remember the name. He was like the smart one that was actually in charge of the ship.
Vague. It's vague. You know I'm bad at that.
I know. I thought that was similar.
Okay.
The Chaos Android is a neat detail because do you know the story of the Chaos Android?
No.
Okay. So in real life, like way back before the Necrons were introduced, their very first iteration, which I think was in an early White Dwarf, was just called Chaos Androids.
Okay.
And these original models were
terrible.
Oh my god, were they terrible. Yeah.
Okay.
The true Necron image as we know them didn't come about until 3rd edition, I want to say.
Okay.
But Chaos Android kind of grew into that.
Okay.
Obviously, modern Necrons don't really have anything to do with chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a neat detail.
Okay.
So we have this story of Vashtor being summoned,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe this is his first and currently only novel portrayal of Vashtor. Vashtor shows up in the Arcs of Omens supplements, which I have read the first two of. I'm behind on that, so I'm slowly catching up to that. I really like Vashtor as a character. I think he is that classic, like, signing contracts, bureaucratic type of devil,
Mm-hmm.
where everything is exactly as, it says it is, like line by line in a literal sense.
It's very malicious compliance forward, yeah.
But also, like, he's not actively trying to trick you.
No, you could read that contract.
He just sets exorbitant prices.
Yes.
Basically, what he does, quote, for a living is he makes the bodies of soul grinders.
Mm-hmm.
Soul grinders are a demon shell, essentially, for lesser demons to kind of become more powerful and walk around. He creates a couple of others too, the Defilers, and a few other, like, well-known mechanical models.
Yeah.
We get a little, like, side bit where he's dealing with a Slaneshi demon that Silic, who I can only describe as a Slanesh demon of cuckoldry, and is tired of that, and so sort of turns to Vashtor to earn a very impressive, very beautiful soul grinder body.
Yes, he's like, it'll be so pretty. You're gonna be so pretty.
Yes. I do like that all the soul grinders, regardless of their affiliated gods, have to, like, defend Vashtor's realm and have to, like, serve a term, essentially.
I do like getting to see his realm and, like, his giant, like, forge, and, like, it's full of demons. I did like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We actually knew of his realm before we knew about him. Was it the Forge of Souls? I forget the name of it. That has been a place in Warhammer lore for a very long time.
I see. I did
It's just he's been given the title of ruler of that.
Okay.
Yeah. As fun as this was, and at the end of this, he basically sends his forces to Ulfheim through the Pit of Raukos to try and make one last stand against Cawl. I don't think it needed to be in this book.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's an actual antagonist. He's just kind of putting a name on some demons that were already causing problems.
I mean, I kind of felt like the point of this whole story was that, like, Creveric is going off book. Like, he's told all his followers that Abaddon has tasked him with, like, stopping Belisarius Cawl or something about passing through the Attilan Gate or the Knockmood Gauntlet. But what he's actually trying to do is make a name for himself. So he's, like, kind of off book.
Yeah.
And Vashtor knows this. And eventually they get to the point where, like, Vashtor's like, yeah, I'll make you this army of demon engines and I'll send them right to Ulfheim and they'll thwart Belisarius Cawl. And that isn't exactly what Creveric wants. Like, he wants Belisarius Cawl to have a little bit of success, but he wants to show up just in time to stop it so that he can get credit for it and get back in Abaddon's good graces. And none of the dudes with him know that that's a thing.
Right.
So things go awry when they figure out what's wrong. And so they end up with...
Well, also, none of them actually have the power to contain Vashtor.
Correct.
Like,
He's
not even close.
He's not actually been held this whole time. He's been making armies and doing stuff while they think he's contained in their basement. But I think the ending is that, like, Vashtor's like, fine, I will build you this army, but we have to, like, you have to give me something and I have to give you something, and I forget what the things are. So it ends up not...
Well, Vashtor wants souls.
Yes. You have to collect a certain amount of souls or something. And, like, so it ends up not being that related to this book, really.
Yeah. Like, I'm glad that it has set up for Vashtor, but this I could instead see as the first third of a separate book that's much more focused on Vashtor and the Iron Warriors.
Yeah. Yeah, it did feel a little like a side quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I mean, are we telling them if it worked or not?
No, we'll leave the ending, a surprise.
Okay.
But let's just say this is what I would call a book that pushes the setting forward, as people like to describe it.
Whether you like that or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
The debate remains if that's a thing people want to read, but it
Mhm.
definitely is moving the setting forward.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We're not going to tell you the end. So
How do we feel about ratings?
whoa. So now that I sat here and I discussed it with you, and we talked about how there's 3 stories, 2 of which maybe aren't important to the actual novel, that does lower my score a little bit. If I were just scoring on how much time I get to spend with Belisarius Cawl, I would give it a 15 out of 10, solidly. But I guess I'm gonna say 7.5.
Okay, I was feeling the same. I started with an 8, and then it just kind of slowly was ticking down.
Yeah.
And I was at like 7.8.
Yeah.
Like it hit 7.5 and then came back up. So like somewhere in that range.
It's really the 2 side stories that you don't need that take away from the real arc of the story.
Like, I do think Felix's story needs to be here because
Okay.
it is integral to what we are even trying to do in this story.
Yeah, I think maybe if I were storyboarding this idea from scratch, it was like, I need Belisarius Cawl to do this thing, and the end result of this thing is going to be demonstrated at this place, and I guess someone has to be there to receive it, and he just went Primaris Marine Felix, right? And like that's how he got there.
Well, it was always going to be Felix because
yes,
that is his
character
domain,
yeah,
who is attached to
that place. Yeah.
Well, not to that place. He has nothing to do with the wolf. He was friends with Bjarni.
I guess.
And he has a relationship with Cawl. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah. So he was kind of like Space Marine in the room. But yeah,
I would also say of the 3 Cawl books, this one requires kind of the most backstory. You should really have already read Dark Imperium. You should have already read the Wolf Spears short from the successors. Yeah. I'm sticking with 7.5. Yeah.
Wow, we agreed. That doesn't happen often.
Right.
All right. Any other business? Looks like we're in a meeting.
Yeah. So one other thing I just really wanted to discuss, and not directly related to why it is taking so long in between episodes, but
no, that's just because we read slowly.
That's because
we're
we've been
busy.
reading slowly and we've been busy. The new Black Library app is so atrocious.
It's not good.
And serves no good function.
Oh, it serves one good function to Black Library.
Well, it cuts down on people trying to pirate their books. Yeah.
The problem is, fine, you guys make books, we buy them, like you're getting all of our money. You've decided that you don't want people to be able to pirate your books, so they can only read them in your Black Library app, which is great, except it's not an ebook reading app. You can't highlight things, you can't search books, you can't take notes on books. So it basically is just like paper. Actually, it's worse than paper because I could write on paper, right? Like,
or you could use a bookmark.
Right? Like there's none of that. It has zero functionality. It's just screens with words on them. The only functionality is you can make the words bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So please, if you really want people to use this, you have to add more to this app.
Some reading functionality would be useful in your reading app.
Because right now, if it was designed this way on purpose, this is just your way to slowly kill off Black Library.
Yeah, it's just going to make me not read your books.
Yeah.
If I can only read them this way, which I guess you can read them on Kindle via Amazon.
That is correct.
If you're reading on a
buy
Kindle,
them off of Amazon, and it goes directly to the Kindle. But
if you wanted to read an EPUB version of that book on your iPad, you would have to do it through this app, and it would be terrible. Yeah. So,
on a lighter note, our next book,
Ah.
we are going to be reading Hive by Dan Abnett, which I feel everyone has been talking about. And they did such a weird thing here where it's just 2 volumes, essentially.
In one.
It's like the lesson they learned from End in the Death, rather than giving Abnett, a real editor who's going to try and pare him down. They're just like, you have no editor. We're just going to sell it as multiple volumes.
You can write as many pages as you want.
We're doing the encyclopedia approach now. Okay.
Yeah, so we're reading that. What else are we reading?
There's a couple of other options. I mean, Hive is definitely next on our list.
Yeah.
But we also are interested in Elemental Council by Noah Van Wyn. People have been saying about Apostle
We're
by
listening
David
to Apostle,
Annandale.
Yeah.
Ghost Legion by Mike Brooks. There's a couple
I do
things
love Mike
coming down
Brooks. I like his writing.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a couple things in the pipeline,
Yep.
and we will be back. So don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us your thoughts about this book in the comments. Bye, guys.
See you next time.